program is part of the Scene Project's podcast network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are.
Dreams filling our hands, begging to be solved, remembering the lives we've lived before, searching for answers out in the void. We're all just restless girls and boys, looking for keys to open the door. Time's everlasting, time never lasts. Seconds slipping from my grasp, holding you closer, holding our breath. Observing the march of time as the present quickly fades into our past. Swimming in circles now and we can't get out and we can't get off this ride. A vessel is tossing in the waves. Step up the shadows, no need to hide. Our future is rising with the tide. The only thing we need to be is brave. Time's everlasting, but time never lasts. Quite as long as we wanted to. Watching seconds slipping from my grasp, holding you closer, holding our breath. Observing the march of time as the present quickly fades into our past.
Welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I am your host, Bubba Starts, and here this Wednesday, we have our MOMO Meetup. We are going to be joined shortly by East Coast promoter and our music expert for the night, Christina Avila. Christina, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. It's good to see you again. You are tuning in live today on our Unsigned Spotlight. We were playing some music of, an artist that you brought to us today. You're good friends with my buddy AJ Waller, co-host of Unsigned Spotlight. Before we get too far into the episode, I want to give you a few minutes to just, give us a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll kind of open it up into the chat for everyone to be able to ask you some questions about what it is that you do and how that helps artists. And but first, let's get to know you a little bit, Christina. The floor is yours.
Okay. I started about almost 6 years ago. I lost my mom and my dad previous to that. And it was just a way for me to pay homage to them. I grew up with all kinds of music. My dad was Cuban. My mom was Middle Eastern American. And I grew up with American Bandstand, Soul Train, Solid Gold, all kinds of music. And I also know that the industry has changed so much for the artists. Everything is streamlined now, where it used to be wait in line for the CD or the cassette to come out. And it was just my way of helping, support the community. Never been to LA in my life. I would like to go, though, before they knock everything down from the Sunset Strip. And just, that music was, what I grew up with, too. They heard metal, but I'm more of a Motown fan. And I mean, I like all kinds of music, and it's just a way to show support to the artist because times have definitely changed than how it used to be.
No doubt. And a big reason why we started the Scene projects, just shy of 2 years ago was for that simple fact that as a songwriter and artist myself, I had kind of, and having been someone who I'm almost 40, so I remember the days of like, well, you got to cut a demo and then you got to get that and shop it around and maybe you're going to get signed, and like that feels like a far off dream anymore. Like that just doesn't happen. If you're not coming to the table of these record companies with millions of followers and millions of streams, and like if you don't have everything already in line, a major label's not going to really do anything for you. So while we're in the age of the independent artist and it being easier to produce music and get it out there into the world, it's never been harder than to actually get people to hear it. You don't have the usual tastemakers, the MTVs, the VH1s, and those companies, most of them bankrupt or have completely shifted their business model, that it leaves an opening for myself and people like AJ to go out there and to be a smaller version of that and to try to grow their platform to support those artists. But that's nothing if you don't have people like you who are promoting some of these artists that don't necessarily even know how to promote themselves.
True. I was watching a documentary all about the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and it was really interesting, the story about it with Mario Maglieri, who passed away, and then his son recently passed away. And they were talking about a documentary that Capitol Records, when Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, a lot of these bands were just there, and the record labels all came, and it was like a bidding war. Who could sign who? There's a book that I own. A friend of mine ordered it for me for Christmas last year, Thanksgiving, from Vicki Hamilton. She's an amazing female manager. She managed Stryper, Poison, Guns N' Roses, and everything that she went through and how she has a small record label now. Everything that she's been through, especially as a female, she really went through some hard times, but she still survived. So I just want to get out there and spread the word of, how to support the artists. Because everything, unfortunately, even like if a band has a concert, the band's not seeing the money. It's the booking agent, the touring agent, the theater, all of that. They're seeing the money first. The band is lucky if they make $100 each or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, lucky to do that. In some cases in the upper Midwest, we're very fortunate to have a smaller community. So I like to say that we get paid fairly well for what we're doing, but also the price hasn't changed in 40 years, right? Like we're making the same amount now that, people were in the 80s. So while yes, we are lucky, we haven't seen the growth in our industry that I feel like we should. And it's why, the Midwest Original Music Organization, how that came about was just to form more of a community. The Scene Projects is the platform where we can broadcast from and to use as, as a platform, right, to launch and to, spread the word. But the MOMO is more of the actual group where we're able to communicate with other artists that, the group is private for that reason, that it tends to be just the artist inside of that. And to share knowledge, right? Because we're all not coming from the same experience and background. And really, we have a focus towards this next generation of artists that are coming out. And a lot of these younger artists are looking at Spotify streams and things like that as what will make or break them. But we all know now that Spotify streams aren't going to pay you. And if you can learn how to build yourself a career and a fan base using platforms like ours or others similar, that you don't need the millions of streams to build yourself a nice living and a nice career inside of the music industry. So that was really the impetus for starting everything that we've done. And I feel like we're kindred spirits in that we really just love music. We want to see people succeed, even though I am a musician myself. it's not
Right.
about me. I'm almost 40, right? Like my dream of being a big rock star, I feel like has kind of, passed me by. But I can be around the industry and I can use the knowledge that I have to educate others and to help them grow. And that's really what I am focused on now and why I'm so happy to have you on. So in
Thank you.
a weekly, so what does your week look like as a promoter and as someone who works with several bands? What's kind of what's your workflow, I guess is what I'm driving at.
Oh, every day is a different thing. Mainly I'm looking at, booking festivals, shows. Now that the holidays are coming, things are kind of slow. They're going to be getting slow. There isn't going to really be much going on as far as interviews, but I try to get music submission of different MP3s to get airplay for the artists, trying to get them interviews. That's like the main thing right now. But I also know with like the festivals and the venues, they are booking like crazy. And it's not an easy thing to try to book a show because sometimes they don't get back to you. Sometimes you have to get back to them, the following week. And sometimes with these venues, they have their favorites or they have so many things in their emails so they don't even check every day, or sometimes things go into their spam mail.
Well, and some of these larger festivals are working with agencies that are filling them in. And it's still a very, especially at the upper echelon of festivals, right? That it
Right,
is a very small group of people that are still playing the role of gatekeeper, right?
right,
And we are trying to break those stigmas and to break through that noise. And also, but also there are a lot of smaller festivals that are going through a submission process like that, but there's thousands of submissions that are coming in. Do you
right.
feel like your job becomes more about relationships than it is about necessarily a flooding the market necessarily with emails, or is it really a quantity and that flood over over having maybe a relationship with someone?
It's a mix of both. I mean, so far, I really haven't heard from anyone from festivals or venues. But again, sometimes they're so bombarded with emails. But sometimes I feel like some of them you have to go in person. Like there's a beautiful theater. My fiance and I won ticket to see a Bon Jovi tribute, but there was a catch with the tribute. They just did a tour, a cruise with the actual John Bon Jovi, and they came from Atlanta, Georgia. It was their first time playing in Connecticut, and we got to meet the band. They were amazing, um, and it's very often that I win tickets. But with that, I went into the theater and I spoke to someone about some of the bands I'm working with to try to get them coming into the show. So they gave me their information and I wrote it down. I sent it to the artist. Or sometimes the artist will say, hey, can you do it for me? This is what I'll, say. Can you like send it off? So I would say it's a mix of both.
Awesome. Yeah. So a lot of time spent behind a computer screen still and grinding away, which a lot of us artists have learned to do on our own. But there's some people, and you've sent in some submissions that it seems like, at least the people that you've sent us so far, that you're dealing with people similar to me and closer to kind of our age that came from a different world and weren't necessarily able to adjust to the digital age and how things are
Right.
done now. Is that fair?
Some of them, yes. Some of them, no. I guess it's just a mix. I know back in the day in the 80s, I've been reading a lot and watching podcasts while I've been home. I had an injury and I've been, looking for work at the same time. I'm a daycare teacher by trade, and I had a couple of interviews, and I should know the end of the week about getting a job or not. But with the reading, I go to the library at least once or twice a week because I love to read. That back in the day, the bands had their own people to do their own stuff. Now it seems like the bands have to have excuse me, they either hire a promoter or someone in the band does the bookings, calls the events, calls the different festivals or whatever. So, I mean, things have definitely changed in that sense. And it might be small what I do, but at the same time, it's rewarding, especially if I can get a band airplay, if I can get them an interview. That's a start as far as the venues and the festivals. And that will happen over time. I just have to be diligent and keep on reaching out. But getting the interviews and getting them airplay is such a big deal because you never know who's going to be tuning in. And that person can be spreading the word, or if someone hears that music, hey, you never know who could be listening to that and say, oh, wow, I'd like for that song to be on my radio station, or maybe submit it to iHeartRadio or Sirius XM. You just don't know.
Exactly. And it's a lot of time. Now, for me personally, I know because it is my music, they're my songs, it's me going out there to play the shows or to be on the radio. It's very easy for me to find the motivation to get up and to get behind the computer and to send out the emails. Where do you find your motivation to keep pushing on for these bands that you're working with? It's not all about the money.
No. I mean, yeah, I do charge the bands because especially right now I'm not working and the income is definitely helping. I live with my daughter and she's paying for the bills, but I try to help her in somehow, and that's how the income helps. That's a tough one. Wow. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah, well, and that's why I'm good at what I do, Christina. Asking the hard-hitting questions.
I definitely get excited when a radio station, lets me know like a day or two, hey, we like this song. Hey, we're going to give it airplay. Or like the satisfaction that I get is if I send, like, for example, these different artists about an interview, and right away you said yes. So that made me feel like, oh my gosh, this is a new podcast host. Wow, already they've taken 2 of my artists. I'm going to continue with this. So that's my satisfaction and that's my happiness right there.
Yeah, similar to how it feels for us when we get notified about, getting featured on a new radio station, and it never fades because it's so nice to know that the people that you're associated with are succeeding, that your hard work is paying off. So I'm just glad that it has the same feeling for you that it would for me or any of the artists that are, sending in their songs to you and working with you. Because music, I think, is one thing that, yes, you are providing a service, but it still means so much to everyone involved, right? There's still so much passion and heart placed into these, music has become so commodified now, but it is a piece of someone's soul, right? And now you're out there and putting it out into the world. That I'm happy to hear that even though you didn't write the songs, that the pleasure that you get from it is still the same. That's incredible.
Right. I think too with, I don't like bringing up politics. I was never brought up to bring up politics or religion, but I think because of everything we're going through right now, music can mean so much. It's therapy for so many different reasons. Like Dave Revels, his music, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful, so positive. When I heard you playing his music today, I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I texted him and he was so happy. And like Jeff Summa's band, their music too has so much power. All the different artists that I work with, they're different, various types of musicians, but I got to see a musician that I never thought in my wildest dreams I would ever see or meet. Tito Puente Jr., the son of the late great Tito Puente. I got tickets. My fiance and I got to see him and his guitar player, who's a Connecticut native who lives now in Florida. His name is Rico Monaco, and he's got a mambo fusion band. Well, we met Rico before the show, and then the other night, everyone's in line. I'm thinking, what? Oh my gosh, it's Tito Puente Jr. And he met everyone. We took pictures with him. Everyone got an autographed picture. We got his salsa line of his hot sauces. It was such a dream because my parents got to meet his father. And 30 plus years later, I'm meeting the son. And the son and I have a connection. I'm helping advertise for him, for Rico, and even a Cuban musician. Also, they have their own agency, so I'm just advertising and helping support them. But that to me was like a lifelong dream come true.
That is so incredible. I
Yes.
have, because of the podcast, prior to the podcast, the closest brush I had, I guess, with, an extremely famous person was getting to actually be on stage and to work with Julio Iglesias Jr. And,
Wow.
yeah, that was pretty awesome, right? My friend and I, they were looking for some performers to be his backing band for a show in Deadwood, and I was really more of an actor than a performer that night, but
Right.
we'll take it. It was the best paying gig I'd ever played up to that point as well. But how gracious he was, and really just carrying on his father's legacy. Right.
Right.
I mean, he really wasn't even playing anything of his own, and just knowing that he's carrying the torch for something else, and seeing and meeting his band, and it was really an awesome experience. And now with the podcast, I've had the opportunity. We just had Cheryl B. Englehart on the show recently, who's a 2-time Grammy nominee. I interviewed the drummer from Judas Priest, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
Wow.
And my favorite one, and probably my favorite story, is having Bill Payne of Little Feat, one of the founding members, on my show. I was like 3 weeks into doing this show and got an email that was like, oh, Bill Payne of Little Feat's interested in being on your show. And I'm like, Mom, is this real? Is somebody pinch me?
Wow.
And he was so gracious. We had a 45-minute phone conversation just talking about music and obviously his long history. I mean, the guy played with everybody. He was a studio musician long before, Little Feat was even brought in the 70s. He had already been in the studio. He's like, I've done tracks that I forgot about. He's like, I did a record with Barbra Streisand. Didn't even know it, right? Because a lot of times you're just coming in, you're playing, okay, cool, here's your paycheck, you're out the door, and then it ends up being on this record or that. You're not necessarily told. Well, they were coming to play in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So I had requested through their management, like, hey, can I get a couple of tickets for the show? Unfortunately, I'm not going to be in Sioux Falls, but I see that you'll be playing at Red Rocks. My mom is, lives close to Red Rocks. She would love to come, and it would be a huge way for me to be the good son for once. So through some string pulling, and we actually got her into the band's seats, not just tickets, but VIP seats, sitting next to Bill's wife, who my mom said was closer to her age, probably 20 or 30 years, Bill's junior. And she sat next to him and watched the show, or they sat next together and watched the show. And just an incredible experience. And to have him take my phone call. I sent him a text recently. I know he has a book coming out here in the next 6 months or so. So have his cell phone number and text him, hey, Bill, when you're ready to talk about it, we'd love to have you back on. And to me, this man doesn't owe me anything. But because we connected as musicians, and also as, me being, I guess, in the media now, that it was really awesome to have that relationship. Because at the end of the day, no matter the status of the musicians or how far they've attained and the level of fame maybe that they've attained in their career, they're still people. And that's why a tagline of the Scene Projects now is making friends feel like rock stars and rock stars feel like friends, and being that connector between the two. And I think that's why a show like mine, because of my 25 years in the music business, granted not at the top and the pinnacle of the industry, but I've done a lot of the things from the bottom, right? And I've done a lot of those things. So it gives me a little bit different perspective and asking a little bit different questions as you go along in the interview. So you brought up Jeff Summa, who will be actually joining us, and we'll be playing some of his music later on in the show. Now, Jeff is his band's, you said jam band, and I was like, okay, we'll see about that. But no, you weren't kidding.
Thank you. His producer referred him to me. And normally it's me that will reach out to the bands. Just like Jeff, there's a well-known guitar player from Central New York. His name is Roy Costin, and he's been such an amazing, not only guitar player and musician, but because of him, I got to meet and hang out with Ronnie Monroe, who was in Metal Church and Trans-Siberian. And Roy has, gosh, he's toured with so many musicians, and he's so humble, but yet he's been like my go-to guy for the last 5.5 years. And a friends of his I was working with broke up, so he reached out to me. And now here's this producer, Vic Steffens, who's well known, nice guy in Connecticut too. He referred me to Jeff Summa, and he's also a producer to this really amazing. I'm gonna have to send you their music. Their names are the Name Droppers. And Bobby Torello has been a drummer since he was 14, and he's toured with Edgar and Johnny Winter. And their music is so catchy. It's so much fun. I'm definitely gonna have to send you their music and try to get you to do an interview with them also. They're a lot of fun. They'll make you laugh.
Yeah. Well, Christina, I'm starting to think that you may need your own podcast.
Oh,
And when you're ready
geez.
to do that,
Right. A lot of
we're
people
gonna
have
get
said
you set
that.
up. Yeah, well, you have the connection to these artists already. And let me tell you, hon, if you need some help getting the confidence to step in front of the camera and to just have a conversation like we're having right now, with you steering the conversation is the only difference, right? And
Right.
that's really what it's all about. My cat's tearing up the house, and Jeff Summa just jumped in backstage. I see you there, Jeff. Thanks for being here. Looking forward to listening to some of your music with you tonight and bringing it on. Actually, Christina, do you mind if I bring all three of us on for just a moment here? I know you have
Sure.
to run and get out of here, but let me go ahead and bring Jeff into the stage. And Jeff Summa, welcome
Hey,
to the Scene Projects.
how you doing? Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Well, you have to thank Christina for that, sir.
Oh yeah, thank you. She's been giving me a lot of interviews. She's really good at it.
I was just telling her that she needs her own podcast and she could just do
Right.
the interviews herself.
There you go. She should.
Yep.
Well, Christina, anything that you want to add? How can people get in touch with you to, be a client of yours, or how do, radio producers and everybody, how can we get a hold of you to work with some of these amazing artists that you're representing?
I have an Instagram. It's at crazycuban73 because I am part Cuban. It's a joke with everyone. My email address is christinaavila41@gmail.com. I have a business page. It's www.facebook.com/crazycuban73. I'm working on a website, working on some other things. So yeah, that's the best way people can reach out to me, or my personal page too.
Fantastic. Well, we are going to continue to promote everyone that you send our way, so keep them coming. Thank you so much for joining the MOMO Meetup portion of the show tonight. Thanks for the recommendation with Jeff here. I've been playing some of his music while I was working in the lab today. Absolutely in love with the sound, so looking forward to this. Christina,
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being part of the scene.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're the best.
You too. Thank you.
Awesome. Jeff Summa, welcome to Love Noise as we, move into our second half of our Wednesday night shows. I was doing these where I do an hour of the MOMO meetup with kind of music industry experts. And then I was coming back hours later to do Love Noise, where we feature an artist, we talk to them, we play their music, kind of get the story behind the songs. And I was up till like 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, like by the end of the show, I'm falling asleep in my chair. And I was like, why don't I just bring these two things together? And so you are on week 2 now of sharing.
All right.
Before we get too far into everything, I would love for you to just take a few minutes, give us a little bit of your backstory, the backstory of the band, and then we're going to dive into some of the music. I got to save plenty of room because you don't have short pop songs on the record you sent me. So we're going to leave plenty of time.
9 minutes long, most of them. That's pretty crazy.
Floor is yours, Jeff. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, my love for music started at an early age. And then when I was a teenager, I started touring around the country with the Grateful Dead and bands like the Allman Brothers and stuff. So I really got to see firsthand what a real functioning pro band is like. Just love the music, and I love jamming, obviously. So I was in a bunch of bands. And then about 10 years ago, I started putting together the first lineups of Jeff Summa and the Roasters. And this lineup has been together about 8 years now. Great bunch of musicians. We've changed out a few drummers, but now we're really happy with Dan Ferrari. He's a great drummer. And we just put out our second album called Who's Got My Lighter, and it's been doing really well. It's been getting a lot of airplay now for the last 5 months all across the country, and we charted on 3 major charts with it, which was pretty exciting. So
Yeah, great stuff, man. I'm a huge Deadhead. I know I'm
all
a little
right.
young to even say that, but my parents took me to the World Music Theater
Oh,
1991
nice.
in Tinley
Nice.
Park, Illinois, the only
Oh,
time
yeah.
they ever
I
played
was there
there.
for that show.
Yeah, you might have
Yeah.
seen me. I was 3 years old running around the lot with a tie-dye t-shirt and a sweet rock that somebody gave me. And
Nice.
you know, I was kind of hooked, but I grew up with the Dead in my house.
Right.
All of it, the classics. And then we had a teacher when we were in high school that had a bunch of tapes and turned us on to a ton of live sessions that we listened to. And I mean,
That's
I
awesome.
still play a lot of Grateful Dead in my songs. I lean a little bit more country now, living here in the Midwest in farm country.
Right,
But
right.
grew up, my dad, I mean, we love it, right? And really the jammy song. I mean, not like the deep jam songs, but the
Right.
Not Fade Away and
Oh,
Good
yeah.
Lovin' and really
Sure.
that feel good dancing music. That's what I came up playing since I learned. The first song I ever sang on stage was Franklin's Tower.
Nice.
So,
Great.
and I
Great
still
song.
perform the song to this day. So, love to hear that you're a big Deadhead. Obviously, got those vibes when I'm listening to the songs,
Oh,
and
yeah.
a lot of people will feel the same as we're listening today. This evening to your music. But what's the band up to now? You just released the new record. Do you guys tour? I know you're a painter by day,
Right,
so
right.
not touring the world. Again, I guess I was gonna say now, but you've kind of done it all before. What are you guys gigging fairly regularly out there in Connecticut?
Yeah, we played a lot of gigs this year. We're taking a few months off to work on some new material and do some rehearsals, and then we're going to hit the road again in March with a bunch of shows. It's always kind of a pain in the neck here in New England to get our friends out to shows in the winter past 9 o'clock. They're like bundled up at home watching TV and stuff. So it's really no fun coming home, packing up gear at 3:30 in the morning when it's like 2 below zero out and stuff. So whatever. But
Yeah, no, I feel you. South Dakota, it's been winter arrived early this year, and we've already had snow on the ground. We did get a bit of rain yesterday that melted quite a bit of it off, but it's been frigid already. And the same thing, right? You maybe you can play a few, a few shows sporadically. Maybe you do a New Year's Eve or
right.
something. But I mean, January and February are just tough months. We're all just trying to
Oh, yeah.
survive. But what a great time to kind of go back into the studio. Do you guys write as a collective, or is it, you're kind of writing the songs and then bringing them to the band?
Yeah, I write all the songs and then I bring them to the band and in various forms. Some of the songs that we recorded for the album we've been playing for like the last year. It shows like 4 or 5 of them, and the rest are all kind of new to the guys heading into the studio. We just had like a couple rehearsals ahead of time, and I write all the lyrics and then I write the main framework of the music, and then of course the guys write all their own parts. Like Rob writes the bass parts, etc. Then
Right. You kind of
uh,
deliver the framework, and then they have obviously artistic freedom on what their part is inside of
right.
that. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and they help me, hone out the rough parts and get things smoothed out and everything. So it's always good to have more ears on it. So, but basically, I listen to a lot of audiobooks while I'm painting away at work, and I get a lot of and listen to a lot of music, so I get a lot of ideas. So I'll take like notes on my phone, and then those develop into lyrics, and then kind of simultaneously and sometimes at the same time I write the music to go along, but usually I'll like have pieces of music that I'm working on, and then I'll kind of find the right fit with the lyrics to which song would work for which kind of feel I want to go for and stuff. So
Well, I got one dialed up. The first song that I want to play tonight is That Ship Has Sailed. Can you give us a
oh,
little
yeah.
bit about this song before we play it?
All right, well, this is my kind of anti-oligarch song because fuck those rich guys. But no, I just I've always been a huge blues fan, and came up with this kind of funky blues thing, and then the guys really got into it, and it's kind of a different key to play, and it's in C. And some of the last lyrics I actually wrote about 2 hours before I went into the studio, because I was having trouble with kind of finishing the last couple verses, but under pressure and get in the studio and get them done. So
hey, that's what it's all about. It's not easy to take it, especially when you're a band like you guys are, 9-minute songs and really jamming. I'm sure that so much of your sound comes from the live performance that
Right.
it's not always easy to take that into the studio and to craft it all. And, for me, even to this day, some of the lyrics change at the show. So
yeah. I had to change some lyrics.
It's not always easy.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had to change some lyrics going into the studio, because sometimes, it's like just 1 or 2 extra syllables that threw things off or whatever. So I'd have to cut things down a little bit or change things around. So you never know, but it worked out in the end, I guess. So
Awesome. Well, this is That Ship Has Sailed by Jeff Summa and the Roasters.
The light in their pockets, they're hedging their bets, they're robbing us blind. They don't have any regrets. There was a time when truth and justice prevailed. Let me tell you, that ship has sailed. They're talking so smooth, they repeat what they say. Some sucker will believe it if they hear it all day. There used to be warnings when the system failed. Let me tell you, that ship has sailed. Shots, they're staying on top while the bottom rots. Once ethics and dignity were widely held. Let me tell you, that ship has sailed. Cheap him stuffed in an expensive suit. Once there was a time when the crooks were in jail. Let me tell you, that ship has sailed. Take whatever you have, and they'll make it theirs. If you try to reach them, they'll push you down the stairs. In the end, the villain was always unveiled. Let me tell you, that ship has sailed.
Man, Jeff, you guys can groove, brother. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome
Thank you.
stuff. Yeah,
That was a fun song to play. That's actually my wife's favorite song on the album.
Cool. I got good taste, right?
Yep, that's right.
It's got a great groove, man. I love it. I grew up such a jam band kid. Toured out to the West Coast when I was, 19. I read Kerouac on the road when I was, starting college. And I was like, wait a minute, I could freeze my ass off in South Dakota, go into this stupid school for a degree that I'm never going to use, or I could just like go hitchhike the West Coast. And granted, there's a big difference between like early 2000s America and, the beatnik generation, but I survived. I had a hell of a time and being out there. Spent a lot of time in Oregon, Bend, Oregon, and then all over Northern California and stuff. But man, it takes me back. Just hearing the jam band. Obviously, you don't get a lot of that sound here in South Dakota. We have a few bands that we spend a lot of time with, but nothing that's that funky on top of it, right? Jam and funk involved. And you guys bring a lot of that. I listened to quite a bit of the album, at least to, a minute or two of each song as I'm going through and kind of picking which ones that I wanted to bring to tonight.
Sure. Yeah.
You guys have been together. How long has the band been together? This iteration, you said like 8 years?
Yeah, roughly. Yep.
Yeah.
We put out our last album in 2019. Yeah. Yeah. We love jamming together. They're a bunch of great guys. Everyone gets along well. We don't do drama or anything like that. So
too old for that shit, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. We just love playing, really. Thank God. Cause it's not a lot of money in it, as you know.
I do know. We're trying to do something about that, but it's a long road. The machine, as it was, has done a very good job, and now they're just manufacturing AI artists to go out there and top those Billboard charts. Which for guys like us, I'm sure it was never something that you wanted anyway, right? Being a Grateful Dead fan, and even the Allman Brothers, who had a couple of hits, it was never at the forefront of them. It was really about the music that you were creating with your family, right? With that band. And I'm very jealous of that. And while I've never had a consistent group of people like that to play with, one, there's just a lack of players in South Dakota, period, right? There's just a lack of people when you're outnumbered like cows 2-1, There's not a lot of musicians to begin with. And then to find musicians that are into the same kind of music that you are, that can, and there's just a lot of space. I mean, the closest musicians to me that I kind of played with in the band, even the closest lived 20 minutes away. Right. So it's not like just, down the road, some guys were traveling over an hour to get to band rehearsal. So it makes it hard to get together on a regular basis. Are you guys getting together weekly and jamming, or a couple times a week, or what's your the practice regimen like for y'all?
For years and years we were like religiously once a week, but now we're kind of spread out a little bit more. One of our guitar players is in Long Island for a while, so that's a bit of a cruise to get to my house, but we're still doing some rehearsals, and people will we practice independently and then just come together and rehearse. So everyone's already learned their parts, and it makes it easy that way.
Right. And unless you're bringing in, writing new songs and bringing those out for the new set, there's not really a need to get together weekly. In fact, I think there can be a little bit of a detriment maybe to that, to overplay the songs almost,
Right.
right? To where you want it to still feel organic when you're on stage and playing the shows. Now, you had
That's right.
mentioned going back on tour in the spring again. So what does a tour look like for you guys? Are you able to string together, a couple weeks full of dates, traveling, from Connecticut, down the eastern seaboard at all? Or, what does it
Well,
kind of look like for y'all?
yeah, I mean, usually we're like weekend warriors, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays and stuff. Sometimes, all 3 days on the weekend, but we are hoping to collaborate with another band from Connecticut and maybe branch out and do some shows. And we'd like to do some touring, but it has to work out, logistically. And we know we're not going to really make any money at it, but can't lose like a ton of money either. So.
Yeah, that's the trade. Like if we could all just go out and come home even, right? Or not
Right.
losing, not getting the house
Right.
foreclosed on and not making car payments, right? Everyone would be happy just to have that opportunity to go out. I've been very fortunate in my life to know several bands that are out there and able to do it. And it's not easy, right? There's nothing easy about it. There's a huge commitment from everyone in the band that it's definitely
Sure.
the we and not about me and I need to make this much money or I need to make
Right.
this. It's like, look, man, nobody's making anything. So
Yeah.
we're just trying to get to that next tour stop and to keep the wheels on the bus
Right.
going round and round, as it were. I'm assuming Matt Summa here with our comments. Brother of yours?
Oh yeah, that's my brother Matt. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, Matt. Hey, I'm coming through with the Scene Projects on tour to Atlanta in March and going through,
cool.
Making a big swing. Well, fortunately for me, because my podcast is about music, that I can kind of work in wherever I'm at, right? I can always be
Right.
doing interviews with different artists. So what we're trying to do is craft together a 2.5 week swing, March 5th through the 22nd, going through, Nashville, Memphis, Little Rock, Dallas, Houston, Austin.
Nice.
Austin City Limits is going on March 11th through the 14th. So trying to
Yeah.
be in the zone a little bit
Wow.
during that time, but then kind of swinging east from there, New Orleans and then Atlanta before hitting Knoxville and coming back. So,
Wow,
March
that's awesome.
20th in Atlanta, we got a venue locked down already. I mean,
There
I'm
you
not
go.
I'm not tying you to it or anything, but Jeff, if you and the boys got a day available, you come on
Right on.
down. You can crash at Matt's house. You tell him I said so.
That's right. He just bought a house too.
Good. It's time to break
We'll break
it
it
in,
in.
Matt. The
Yeah.
band's coming to stay.
That's it.
Very cool, man. Well, we got another song dialed up. Like I said, some of these are pretty jammy, so I want to make sure we get to all of them. Next one, I'm gonna save Funk All Night for last. So a little
Right.
teaser to what we're doing last there. But this one, I picked out Everybody Knows. Tell us about Everybody Knows a little bit while I get it dialed in here.
Well, my buddy Dan that I work with, he's a carpenter. He uses that expression all the time when things go wrong on the job. He's like, first your money, then your clothes. And so I turned that into the full chorus version and then wrote a song around it, totally fictitious, but, based on truth, of course. And and then my other guitar player, John Blanton, wrote the horn arrangements for that. We brought in some great horn players, John Mundy on trumpet John Mundy on trombone and Mike Bufundo on the trumpet. And they really killed it on this. It's just two horn players, but they stacked and layered and really came out pretty amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a dozen of them on this track,
Yeah,
man.
for
And that's
sure,
really
yeah.
why this one hit me when I was listening. I was like, ooh, that's different. So this is
Right.
Everybody Knows by Jeff Summa and the Roasters.
I was reckless, the way I spent my pay. Party all night, just blow it all away. Pretty girls sure cost a pretty nickel. They know they got you right by the pickle. That's where I pay the high price of desire in the hot light of a burning dumpster fire. Spent all my money buying cheap thrills. Now it's the wife and kids paying all the bills. And everybody knows that's the way it goes. First your money and then your clothes. That's the way it goes. Everybody knows. Sometimes I find it hard to conceive problems that come up and then they never leave. It's always one thing, if it's not two others, make you stay in bed, hide beneath the covers. I'm over here, just standing in the shade of the bad decisions that I might have made. Had a dream where the throttle opened wide. Dreams where Harleys, even beggars would ride. Everybody knows that's the way it goes. First your money and then your clothes. That's the way it goes. Everybody knows. Gave her love to me, surprised to find out that it wasn't free. Weeks rolled into months, nights rolled into days. Gave her direct deposit, she sucked up all my pay. Lost everything I owned, wound up broke. Thought I was dead, she gave me a hope. Said, baby, keep up if you're able. When you go, leave the money right on the table. Everybody knows that's the way it goes. First your money and then your clothes. That's the way it goes. Everybody knows that's the way it goes. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
It's probably hard to keep that one to 20 minutes in the live show, ain't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's so fun to play, you know.
Oh, it's got that cool calypso feel to it, right? A little bit of
Right,
Latin
right.
flavor, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
the horns add something awesome. Well, we'd be remiss, Jeff, if we didn't talk a little guitars here. I could see your axes there
Oh yeah.
behind you, at least a couple of them. I'm sure that's not
Yeah,
all of
yep.
them in the arsenal,
Nope.
but do you have a favorite one that you play most of, or are they like your kids where you can't pick one out?
It's definitely the Fender Strat. I mean, that baby's the workhorse. It rarely ever goes out of tune with the lockdown. So I put lockdowns on all of them now on all the machine heads, but uh, that one's just like so versatile. And with the effects, I can get pretty much any sound or tone that I need to copy, you know, if I'm playing someone else's lines or you know, different effects for our song. So that one's the workhorse. I like playing the Telly. That's always fun too, but not as fun as the Strat. And then the other one right behind me is a Gretsch. I kind of got that because I want to do some surf rock, and I love that whammy on there. You know, it's got that sound, but I haven't written the surf rock song yet, so we're getting there.
Yeah. I had a Gretsch similar to that one, that kind of style there. It was a gold top one like that. Really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to use the Bigsby though. So I was like, man, this thing is
Yeah.
not, it's going out of tune all the time.
It's
I can't
tricky.
stand it. It's getting in my way. I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing with this. I like the sound of the humbuckers, right? So I got I
Right.
have a custom Telly my friend built me. It's a Stratatelli.
Nice.
It's a Frankenstein. So it's a Strat
Yeah.
body with the Telly neck and the Telly hardware. And obviously
Nice.
playing a lot of country music like I have been, that kind of became kind of like my one, right? That workhorse of the show. And I have a D'Angelico hollow body arch top that I played a lot, you know, this summer.
Nice.
Just taking on the road when I had to play acoustic, I had it, you know, but I could plug it in. So it just made a lot more sense to do that. But yeah, man.
Played the Telly on we did one country rock tune on the album called Simple Song. I did play the Telly on that. So that's about the only time on that. Well, I played a couple other guitars on there, PRS and some stuff, but mostly it's the Strat. So that's really the versatile workhorse.
How long have you had that Strat?
I bought it in 1990 at Manny's Music in New York City in the Jimi Hendrix section. It had Fender Lace pickups originally, but now I've got the Stevie Ray Vaughan pickups in there, a little bit hotter and a little louder. So I burnt out the first set of Fender Lace. They kind of literally smoked during the show.
93, probably.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you and that guitar have been through some shit together, haven't you, Jeff?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
still ticking though. Still ticking.
Yeah, well, those good instruments, you really can't replace them. I was very fortunate to get the custom. Actually, funny story behind that one. I got it from my friend Jason Guthmiller. Shout out to Guth. He built a run of 12. And I was seeing, I didn't see him like advertise, hey, I'm thinking about doing some custom work, and had gotten, 12 orders. And so I'm seeing them as they're like rolling out finished products. I'm like, damn, man, like I would really like to have something by you. He's kind of, so I grew up in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Deadwood was my town of HBO fame. And
Rocky Raccoon Land.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. You got it. So grew up out there. Guth is kind of like, he's one of the OGs of the scene. He's been around for a long time. And, while I didn't get to hang out with him a lot, over our years, we both have that respect for one another, right? That we've been around for a long time. And so I contacted him. He's like, yeah, they were a lot more work than I thought they were going to be, dedicated a lot of time to it. And, I was like, hey, you know what? I get it. If you ever do make another one or do this again, just let me know, man. I'd love to have one just as a piece really for me. If it plays well, great. And he contacted me like a week later. I had just quit my welding job to do this podcasting. And I thought I was quitting my job to be a rock star, to be honest, Jeff. I had a bunch looked in the summer of 2024. I was tired of just like the freaking factory sucking the life out of me. And it was like, if I'm going to, well, I got one chance, right? I ain't getting any younger. I'm going to go and try to do this and fill it up. And he called me a week after I quit my job and was like, hey, man, I ended up having enough parts to build one more. Check this out. And it was the, you know, I got to get it, man. Give me just a second. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
Sure. Okay.
Oh, I feel terrible too because it's got awful strings on it right now. I haven't played it much. So this is 13. So this is a little
Oh, wow.
and
Damn.
he had done a sticker on the back of each one. So this has the
Oh, sweet.
Captain Caveman on the back, but the strap body, right, with the telly neck and
Right.
fret to it. And I really love this. So you can't really tell, but it's got the cutaway ashtray. I'd had another telly at the time I was playing, and I was always thinking myself, like, I'm a hard, heavy strummer,
Yeah.
right? Like I grew
Yeah,
up playing acoustic, and
Right.
so I was just fucking my thumb up on the
Ripping
ashtray
your
on my other
knuckles on-
telly, and this
Yeah.
thing was just like, dude, it's like I can't tell you no. You know what I mean? Like I asked for this, and
Right.
you know the old adage, the be careful what you wish for,
Right, right.
is that. So
That's
you can
pretty
kind of
cool
see
looking.
for everybody the
Yeah.
JG Jason Guth Miller.
Nice.
Shout out to Guth, man. A beautiful it's missing a string. You can tell I haven't given it the attention that it needs. I think there's some blood on the pickups and stuff. Like, yeah, she needs to clean up. She needs to get cleaned up and a little tune up. But I've been doing a lot more podcasting, right? Like this beast of a platform became so much more important than just my own music career. But
Right.
we're going back
Right.
on tour, baby. So we got to get you cleaned up.
That's cool.
Well, and then I have a Les Paul as well. I got a Gibson that I could never afford. And since we're swapping guitar stories, I'll just tell all of mine. All of my guitars have come from situations or people inside of that Black Hills music scene that meant a lot to me. So the D'Angelico actually came from a guy named Mike Brennan. He was selling it. Mike is like played it. He's the bass player that played in every band, right? Like he has the bluegrass band he played stand up in, and the jam, like one of the bands that really inspired me early on when I was in high school still, they were called the Mad Hats, and they played a bunch of jam stuff, you know, 90s Primus and just like really kind of out there stuff that nobody else in our area was playing. And when I got out of prison in 2018, he was selling that one in a garage sale. Maybe it was 2019. And I was like, hey man, I would really like to have that, but I can't, like, I don't have the money right now. He's like, give me $100 and make some payments on it. It's all good. So I end up getting this really nice, you know, beautiful guitar that I couldn't afford to buy retail at a half of the price because he had another one. And then the Les Paul was actually a raffle item from one of my friends' bands called Camp Comfort. They're kind of a rock reggae band from the hills, all good friends of mine. I had bought a ticket just to support them. And we happened to be in town the night that they were doing the drawing. And all day I'm telling my wife, I'm like, I'm coming home with that guitar. Like, I'm coming home. That's what I'm here for. Right. We only happen to be back. We had moved away from the area. And so I sat down, and all night I'm talking with another, you know, shout out to Pat and Pat Roberts, who has another band, Flannel. And so they do a bunch of 90s cover stuff, and he's a guitar collector. Well, it turns out he was the one who donated the guitar to the guys. Right. So we're talking all night and BSing around. And when they come time to do the drawing, he wins the guitar that he had donated to them. Right. Like he bought ticket number one. And he's like, it's like, he's like, I didn't buy a ticket to win. Right. Like I bought a ticket to support my friends. I didn't donate this guitar so I could get it back. It needs to go to someone who's going to play it and love it and to do all those things. And I'm going to give it to Bubba Starts. And like, I'm a little bit of a mush ball when it comes to things like that. And I'm very emotional in the moment to be, I mean, I've never been given a gift like that from a man that I barely, like, we know of each other, but we hadn't really sat down and talked at length besides that night. So really cool. So yeah, like most of the guitars that I have on the wall and in the studio all have a story to them, right? Like they're memories, they're pieces of me. And I don't do any of them justice, to be perfectly honest. I'm not as accomplished of a guitar player as you are. I can hold my own. But yeah, man, nice to swap some 6-string stories. Maybe I'll have to start a new segment of the platform just about guitars and sharing stories.
I've got a Gibson SG, but not a Les Paul. I like the SG. It's like set up like a Frank Zappa style with the DiMarzio's pickups and stuff. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, we got one more song. I kind of already alluded to which one it is. Let me kind of get things dialed up here, and we'll do this. So the last song that I did is it Funkin' All Night?
Funk All Night.
Funk All Night.
Yeah, I have to make sure I pronunciate that correctly.
Yeah, you do. I don't think there's any way I could have ever performed this in the studio or live myself. But so this is Funk All Night. You guys are going to love the innuendo in this one. A great song to wrap up our evening together. Jeff, tell us a little bit about the inspiration for this one. Is it just a fun song?
Beautiful women, I would say, is the main inspiration, but yeah, and just the act of funking. But yeah, no, it was a fun song to write. I just wanted to, I like writing songs with a little twist and innuendo in them, and this certainly lends itself to that. So, and then we got the horns involved and everything else. So, yeah, really, I was originally going to do it as a duet with a female singer, but just didn't work out with timing wise and everything else. It just turned into a hassle. So I just said, screw it. I changed the words a little bit and just went in the studio and did it myself. So with the guys, on the backup vocals, and it turned out pretty well, I think.
We're going to come back and talk about the studio after we get this song, and I don't want to keep you up too late. I know you're out on the East Coast an hour earlier than I am. I'm already,
I can handle
thank
it.
God I had a cup of coffee. Otherwise, I might
right.
not have made it through this one. I wake up too damn early, Jeff. It's just what guys our age do, I suppose. But all right, this is Funk All Night by Jeff Summa and the Roasters.
Hard, some funk it slow, some get down on it when the lights get low, some funk it smooth, some funk it rough, some love the funk so much they can't get enough. This groove is so hot and tight. Come with me, let's funk all night. Drive the beat with all your might. Come on, funk all night. Baby, I sure do love the way you move. When I drop my stylus deep in your groove, well, I can see the condition you're in. When I make your shiny record spin, a natural rhythm-driven style. When you lay it down, give your little smile. The way you arch your back, move your hips so fine. I just gotta hit it hard, lay down my funk bass line. This groove is so hot and tight. Come with me, let's funk all night. Drive the beat with all your might. Come on, funk all night. Some funk it hard, some funk it slow. Some get down on it when the lights get low. Some funk it smooth, some funk it rough. Some love the funk so much they can't get enough. This groove is so hot and tight. Come with me, let's funk all night. Drive the beat with all your might. Come on, funk all night.
Great stuff, man. What a cool groove.
Thanks. That was a fun song.
Yeah,
We love playing
man.
that one live too.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's the thing, is that you're like, these are 10 times more fun in a live setting. And, you know, between, well, those 3 songs, that's probably a whole set for you guys, huh?
Yeah, we played for like 3.5 hours usually, but it's hard to, we play some, besides our own originals, we play really long cover songs like, Shakedown Street or China Rider, or, Memory of Elizabeth Reed or something like that. They're all pretty long songs. We do a lot of Derek and the Dominoes stuff, a lot of long rockin' tunes on there. So we have a lot of fun
Cool,
jamming.
man. Hey, before I let you go, want to shout out the rest of the roasters here. So if you want to go and just kind of name them off from left to right, obviously we can see you back there on the left on the screen, but go ahead and shout out all the guys and make sure we get their names on the stream.
On the left is Dan Ferraro, our talented drummer with his Latin flair. I've got the Keep It Green shirt on. We've got Greg Marshall, our keyboard player, in the middle. That's Jason Smith. He's no longer with the band. He's still a good friend of ours. He was our sax player on our first album. Rob Delheisen on bass in the back, and John Blanton, we call him the professor, our other guitar player and singer extraordinaire. So he's really a talented singer. I struggle with it, but he helps me with the vocal arrangements and stuff on the albums and everything. So I get through it somehow.
Very cool. And obviously to capture this inside of a studio isn't easy as well. So where do you guys do your recording at? Is it the same place all the time? A spot close to you, or?
This album, we worked with legendary producer Vic Steffens in Horizon Studio in West Haven. Vic's worked with everyone from like Sly Stallone to Ace Frehley, Saturday Night Live band, everybody. He's in his 70s, and he's super talented at what he does. It's just like automatic to him and everything. He's got a great ear, and the size of his studio and the shape of it gives great dynamics also. So like for a couple of weekends, like Saturday and Sundays, we went in as a whole band and we recorded all the backing rhythm tracks, and I would just sing like a scratch vocal to kind of guide us through and stuff. And so we try to do it that way to kind of give it the live feel that we like, from playing shows live. And then for like 3-4 months after that, we went in and everyone puts down their solos and do all the singing stuff. Then we did the backup vocals last. On the first album, Open Road Ahead, we spliced a lot of the jams. It's like part of this sounded good and part of that sounded good. But on this album, we would just keep playing the parts, the leads, or guitar or keyboard solos or whatever they are for as many times as it takes till we find one that we like, and then play. Kept it organically from beginning to end. So that was like a little bit different approach, but it wasn't. Every time you take a lead, you're like, I could do one better. I'll do it again. So like 35 takes of the same thing later, you're like, oh, I don't know. It was like
I think we'll just
maybe
take
5 or 6 ago. Yeah, it was somewhere back in the middle, or whatever. Because then you start to overthink it, you start to overplay it, you start, it's like a whole mind trip. And same with the vocals, it's like I kept pushing myself vocally to do one better. So sometimes there's a lot of takes. I watched, a ton of videos, like stuff, how to be better on vocals and everything. And most of that stuff is ridiculous. Do not drink tea. Whatever they do, don't drink tea. Gives you wicked cotton mouth. They're like, drink some lemon tea. It was like the worst thing you could do. And like, but yeah, so I found the best thing was, drink like a soda, do bong hits, and do a lot of water. But a lot of bong hits was the main key, some coffee, and just forget about what everyone says.
You got to stay away from the doobies. They're a little too harsh for the singing.
Yeah.
You got to filter it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a bong hit person, that's the thing. But so yeah.
Awesome stuff, man.
It was a great studio, and it's great to work with a great producer, and then I heard what you and Christine were saying about the music business. You have to, like, just making the album used to be like a phenomenal feat in itself, and that was enough. And maybe like a record company would pick you up, but there's no record labels that are going to pay for indie artists to record anything. They'll swoop in after you get like success, and they'll they see blood in the water and they'll come right in, but and then sign you after you've done all the work. When you become like a buzz on TikTok or something, that's what they're watching now. There's not like all these people in offices that used to sort out talent and go look at live shows and stuff. They watch what's happening on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, what's hot and like what people are watching. And to get your music out onto the radio, it takes a good deal of money. I hired an awesome promotion company. They're like the best, Powderfinger Promotions. They've, started with bands like String Cheese Incident back in the early bands of Jam Radio, early days of Jam Radio. And so, they get you into the right places because you send out your CDs or they send out the streaming tracks to the places with their name tag on it, so they know it's already backed by someone. then it comes from a reputable studio. So it's like how you get in the door, you know, because these places get like 1,000 or more submissions a week, like with, you know, CDs and streaming stuff and everything. And most of it goes right in the garbage, or they give it like one half listen and that's it, you know. But if it comes in with a name on it and a label that they recognize, then that's half the battle. So we end up getting on like over 200 FM stations around the country. You were talking about Bend, Oregon before. It's still doing really good out there. It's been on heavy rotation for like 6 months. And Bend, thank you, Bend. We love you.
Yeah, too bad it's on the other side of the country, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
they
it's
got
like
some
weird
cool
the
rooms out
markets.
there, man. They got some cool rooms. Yeah, I don't know if they're all still there anymore, but I got to see Ween at their Les Schwab amphitheater. I don't know if they it's probably something different now, but yeah, on a Miracle. Me and my buddy were hanging out outside. You know, guy just come out, hey man, you guys want to come see the show? And handed us a couple of tickets over the fence. And I mean, we were sitting there plotting how we're going to jump the fence anyway.
Yeah. There you go. That's how it happens.
Yeah, man, one of the best fucking shows I've ever seen in my life, man. That band is so damn talented. Phenomenal. I mean, all the classics. I mean, I was in high school or fresh out of high school, and we got introduced to, like, you know, Chocolate and Cheese and Quebec and, you know, eating mushrooms and getting out of our head and listening to Ween, right? There ain't nothing better than that. But to see it live and to perform, I mean, just like the records or better, where it was just mind blowing, where it's like, holy shit, man. Holy shit. Because to do it in a studio where you have infinite takes to get it right is one thing, but to come out and deliver it live is totally different. And I think for a band like you guys, like it's almost the reverse, where you're like, we've delivered this live so many times before we're getting ready to take it into the studio now, that you start to like over process and think too much instead of just going and playing. And especially if you were tracking it, I think it's very hard for a jam band to like not perform it live in the studio, at least to get your tracks down, right? To get the basis of the song and the groove, if you will, down, and then you can layer on the leads and solos from there. But awesome, man.
It's counterintuitive to everything you do playing live. You know, you feed off the audience and like the energy of the people, and you jam harder, you jam better, you know, and you see them dancing and enjoying the music or singing along with the lyrics. But in the studio, it's like you're in a little booth kind of thing. You know, you got headphones on, which is weird, and you know, you're messing around with all the different levels of everything on that. And then you're looking through a glass thing, and there's like, you know, the producer and sometimes other people in the studio, sometimes people you don't even know are in there, you know, and it's like kind of intimidating, and you're like opening up.
Your buddies are pointing at you in the fishbowl and laughing at you.
Oh, yeah. It's just pretty crazy, you know. And then there's, it's a hard way to do anything, really, to be super creative, but you got to push yourself. So.
Yeah, incredible stuff, man. I'm a big fan of the band now, Jeff. You got another roast tent out here.
Woo-hoo. Thanks so much.
Yeah, very cool, man.
Come up here with your gig, man. Come up to Connecticut.
I'd love to, you know,
you should hit New York.
Family vacations out there a long time ago. That's kind of the next swing. I got quite a few friends in Pennsylvania now that are kind of calling me. Well, because with the podcast and having built this platform, people are seeing what I'm doing. You know, I was just down in Nashville for the Josie Music Awards, worked at the Grand Ole Opry on the red carpet. I interviewed 150 artists on the red carpet, just bam, 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 right? Just trying to make connections, right? Just connecting with people and giving them a little bit of juice on their big day. And a good friend of mine, Jasmine Kane, was nominated. She won a couple awards, but she was also performing. And she's a heavy rock performer. So she's a South Dakota girl. I wasn't going to miss it. I was able to get credentials because we were the content creator of the year from the Midwest Country Music Organization. So kind of using the labels and the titles, right? That little something that sets you apart from the next guy, right? Well, it's important, right? And I'm trying to make, you know, the scene projects more of a household name within the industry so that we can start to pave the way for some of these people. I know some really talented bands that, you know, you're not going to see out on tour with, you know, freaking Blake Shelton, right? Like that's
right.
or you're not going to see him on his show, The Road. Although I do know some people and have a couple of degrees of separation from the national TV scene now, that we're trying to build this platform to be, I mean, it's by independent artists, it's for independent artists. I've had over 500 people on the show in the last year and a half.
Wow,
and
amazing.
I'm just getting started. Right.
Yeah,
I'm just getting this thing moving and always looking for new. So I'm trying to talk Christina into her own show is like, look, I can't interview everybody all the time. I only have so many hours in the day. We need some more hosts that are willing to talk to people. And she's already plugged in, man. And she would do wonderful. I'm sure you guys will keep leaning on her to do that because, you know, there's a space for it out here in the world. And I think we're just really, we're on the beginning of this new era of media. Right. We're in the very beginning phases of it, obviously, with like legacy media, not just the news, but everywhere. Satellites going away. You know, it's really, we have a fast streaming, you know, True TV Plus. So we're on Roku with our songwriter showcases and things already. And we're going to do more and more of that as time goes on. And to have our own TV, right? I mean, Andy Warhol wasn't wrong. We're all going to get that 15 seconds, right? And you know, I plan on taking they're going to have to play me out with the music to get me off this stage. So Jeff Summa,
I'd like to thank you for everything you're doing for indie artists, because it's so important. I mean, one of the things I harp on all the time in these shows, and I'm not knocking tribute bands, but a lot of venues now are just doing like tribute bands, and like everything else is very hard for independent indie artists to play their own music and you know, get venues and gigs and stuff and get airplay or anything. So it's really important what people like you are doing. So thanks a lot for that. And we are on every streaming site. Come and check us out. Facebook and our roasters, JeffSummaTheRoasters.com. And thanks so much, Bubba. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Send me a CD. I don't have a CD player, but I'd love to have one on the wall. And I got your email. I'll send you my address, man. I'd love to have one.
Perfect.
In the archives.
Yeah, I'll send you some stickers and swag and stuff.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I'll wear them all the time. I love it.
All right,
I love it, man. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. That was Jeff Summa. Christina Avila was on with us before, representing Connecticut very well, y'all. The band is Jeff Summa and the Roasters. Great funk jam sound. You guys got to check them out. All the streaming platforms, go to their website. This has been Love Noise and our weekly MOMO meetup. So love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss one. My name is Bubba Starts. This is the Scene Projects, and we'll see you tomorrow.